So today I'm going to be talking about Affirm. Affirm is basically a buy now, pay later business. So you buy now any product you want, and you pay in 4 or 5 installments. And if you have more than 5 installments, you pay interest, and then they take transaction fees, and that's kind of how they think they'll make money. But what I think is interesting about Affirm, compared to the other dominant players, there's two dominant players. There's Klarna, and then there is Afterpay. First of all, you can't really invest in those. They're both private. Affirm is the only public major, competitor in this space that I know of. But the reason I like Affirm personally is because of its founder. So if you watch some of my other videos, you know that I like betting on the person. I also like looking at the valuation, how things have done, make sure that the business has a path to profitability if it isn't profitable. And I think Affirm meets all the criteria. So Affirm was started by Max Levchin, which, if you don't know, was one of the founders of PayPal. He invested in Yelp, he had an incubator, just a ton of things. And this guy's clearly like one of those masterful serial entrepreneurs. He's a guy who has means and motive, he's very driven, very perseverant, and clearly very hungry. And so, I saw a podcast he was on, How I Built This, and he basically talked about like how he needed to do something. He felt like he was just kind of floating through life after PayPal got sold and he got 30 million or whatever. And so this guy looked for something, and Affirm is what he created. And it's become it's a pretty large company. It's worth in the billions, I'm sure. And so basically, he built his business to disrupt the sector that he thought needed more disrupting. But I've realized that when you bet on these kind of businesses where you have sort of a serial entrepreneur and they prove the concept and they go out and build a business, it usually has a very high degree of success. You see that with Elon Musk or Mark Cuban or a variety of other, serial entrepreneurs. And I think Max Levchin is one of those. Funny enough, he's part of the PayPal mafia that Elon Musk was, and Peter Thiel and everyone else. And so I think it's a very interesting investment, based on the founder. But not only that, I think it also has a very, predictable path towards profitability. I was reading something that basically showed that using models, they can kind of calculate their future profits already. Like if they just structured a certain way or they change interest payments or whatever, they have a way that they could get profitability. It's very forecastable, which is not always, doable for a profitless startup. And so it's just interesting that I think that they have a path to profitability. The founder, of course, is a guy who is very driven and almost an expert when it comes to creating successful businesses in the financial space. Not to mention, he also said something that was interesting, where he's using Affirm as sort of an incubator. So he's investing in all these financial disrupting companies. And I think nobody knows more about disrupting finance than someone who has done it before, like Max Levchin has, and is on the front lines every day trying to innovate and push finance further. So this guy is almost like a diversified bet on multiple new disruptors, while also betting on a company that has proven market success and a pretty predictable path to profitability, led by an astoundingly good manager. So in my eyes, I think Affirm, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's not a riskless investment. But one of the things I also like it for is, I think it's very difficult to value an unprofitable company. But, you can kind of see the relative value. And Affirm has gone down 90% in the past year. It is bare bottom right now. And so I think that you're getting in on a company that is relatively cheap to its past multiples or whatever, valuation metrics you use. And on top of that, it's a company that's led by somebody who's very creative. It has a lot of different avenues for growth through its financial disruptions. I don't think that it's just going to do this buy now, pay later. It may innovate some new areas, kind of like an Amazon of finance. And it has a lot of attributes that I think make it an attractive long-term buy. I don't really understand buy now, pay later. I think it's like, it kind of dives into, what payday loans offer, that same kind of attractiveness just without interest or whatever. But what I can tell you is I believe in the market, and the market seems to love that model. And so I genuinely think that Affirm has a very bright future. It has a very star founder who clearly is invested in the company and wants to work in it long term, and who's also incubating all types of disruptions in it. And I think it could be a very, attractive long term investment.